Hi, I'm Valerie, the Hypnotic Hiker. So, are you ready for a new relationship with you? We can do that. And it begins in nature. Come along with me. This is episode 2 of your hypnotic trip.
I'm free. I'm free.
The Hypnotic Hiker presents Hypnotic Trip, a virtual mind trip experience, a series of guided journeys that take you back to your true self. In these episodes, you'll discover the power of your subconscious mind and how to easily change any old outdated programs from birth that have kept you stuck. You'll enjoy some virtual hikes, plus I'll share the divine interventions that I've encountered on my hikes and how I put those into my spiritual practice. You'll learn walking meditation and self-hypnosis. By the way, I've been a clinical hypnotist in Dallas since 2002. In addition, we'll explore the importance of staying connected to that wild child within you and in touch with your primitive instincts. We'll talk about how the modern world has tried to change us into the cogs of a machine. I'll dive into mass hypnosis and the concept of transhumanism. We will even explore regenerative ranching and agriculture via a virtual tour of my homestead. But the most important discovery you'll have is how to lose that shadow self and to love yourself again, to stand on your own 2 feet and think from your heart mind and speak with your true voice. You'll gain the freedom to be your absolute best self. I'm Valerie, the Hypnotic Hiker. So are you ready for a new relationship with you? We can do that, and it begins in nature. Have you ever taken a shadow selfie? I've seen more and more of these on social media. I like to say I created that about 5 years ago, but that's okay. So those are the images that are best at the beginning or end of the day when the sun is lower on the horizon, and then it casts this long shadow of your physical body onto the ground. These are whimsical shadow images of ourselves that create a state of wonder, especially for children. They realize that when they move, that shadow moves too. These shadows are in contrast to the darker shadow selves that we sometimes have experienced. This episode is about the dark shadow self and what it means to live from that, and also how that was created. But relax, it really is just a mere shadow of who we really are. So, on to the Shadow Self show. Good morning. It's time to wake up. Maybe it's not morning, but still time to wake up. Wake up to your true nature, your purpose, your true voice, the true nature you were born with, that best self. Society and family, teachers, culture, religions, and even our friends try to conform us, and sometimes they're successful, to what makes them comfortable. And so that worked if you find yourself questioning your opinions, holding back when you want to speak up, criticizing the way you did something, or seeking more out of life but never finding it. Through this, we become our shadow selves, shadows of ourselves. The shadow self is the conformed self, also known as the adapted self. It is not your true self. Think of it as the shadow kind of following you everywhere. Shadow aspects are usually the not so nice part of us. They're the part that shoots down our ideas and is usually the critical voice. It is also the suppressor of our emotions because it really wants to go unnoticed, to not draw attention to ourselves. Because in the past, when we were getting attention, maybe someone older, an adult, was uncomfortable with our expressions, and so we learned to suppress them. And as a result, Our confidence got held back. Our confidence in our ability to express our opinions, our fears, our concerns, and our ideas. We all have parts of us operating at unconscious levels. And when things are not going well for us, when things aren't easy, it's because one part is trying to go one direction and the other part is resisting for good reason. The shadow wants to hide in a protective mode, while another part of us, the real us, longs for socialization, friends, and more. Not voicing our opinions or feelings is one example. If we were not allowed to express normal emotions as a child, then it's darn hard to do that as an adult. You can say to yourself, just tell them honestly how you feel. And that shadow voice says, telling the truth hurts people. It's best to keep your opinions to yourself. And that leaves us not feeling so good. And that unexpressed emotion builds up, creates frustration, and then anger. Now, let's continue this conversation from Sedona, Arizona. That place created such a wonderful backdrop for shadow selfies. I traveled there in 2021 and found Huckabee, Templeton, Keyhole Cave, and Devil's Bridge trails. Sunny, rocky, dusty, and very, very red. It's the Red Rocks after all. And even in those hot and dry conditions, it was peaceful, magical, and transformative. Red balanced with green. So despite being the desert, nature was creating a balance. I'll put a link in the show notes to the YouTube video so you can see the beautiful scenery. On this hypnotic trip, we are examining our darker self, the shadow aspect, as it's known in psychology. Humans were born courageous, creative, happy, and confident, and then we go to kindergarten where the boxes are. We got put into boxes, and we learned to put others in boxes. We learned about duality and differences, and because of the influence of teachers and parents, we stopped expressing naturally and became self-conscious. I think this is what the Bible meant when Adam and Eve discovered they were naked. They were being natural, and then all of a sudden they felt very exposed and shameful. I think that's very sad. As young children, we stopped being our true selves and started pleasing those around us. We really didn't have a choice. So how do we transform the shadow self into the bright whole self? So when the sun is overhead, the shadow disappears. As with everything we want to change, it starts with the light of awareness. Do this. Daily, begin to notice how you feel, physically or emotionally, as you experience parts of your day. Carry a notebook and a pen. I prefer handwriting to note-taking on your phone. When I'm looking up at the stars. So, creating a list of everything that you love and how it feels, whether you're doing it or not, doesn't matter. It's what you love, and by focusing on that, you just unconsciously begin to move more in that direction. Sometimes we need time, though, to adjust to environments that we can't change in the short term, or maybe even in the long term. But you can learn to adjust how you're reacting to those situations in which you don't prefer. Here's an example. Talk about being in traffic. We can't change the number of cars or the behaviors of the other drivers, but we are part of the traffic. But you can change your perspective and therefore how you feel when you're driving. I have a 45-minute drive. And when I'm on the road, for one, I create lots of space around me and focus on clouds and trees while paying attention. But I honor the other drivers, knowing that they're all going somewhere. And it's fascinating to me. I almost wish that people had a readout on the back of their their vehicle that said where they were going. I'm going to visit my ill mother. I'm going to pick up my kids. I'm going to a job that I hate. I'm going to a job that I love. I'm going to the hospital to visit a sick friend. When we think about that, people are all out there doing the best that we can. I tend to look at the people around me that kind of appear to be a little stressed out, and I think, wow, look at all these potential clients from a hypnosis practice. So it's about how we change our perspective, and then we can change how we feel about driving. Remember, the good feelings are right and justified. These are the born with feelings. It seems society doesn't want us to be naturally happy and hopeful. Look around and you can tell all the ways that products are marketed to you. This and that makes you happy, when it's actually an inside job. However, focusing on developing a preference for feeling good, you naturally and easily move in a more positive feeling good direction. Like attracts like. And that happens because of something called the law of dominant effect. And you can't have both a negative and a positive feeling. The one that you put your attention to is the one that becomes the dominant, and therefore the automatic response. So focusing on what makes you happy, what you like, and saying that over and over, you're going to move more in that direction. And the more that you focus on that, the more confident you feel, because you're feeling better, and then you can find that it's easier to express your ideas, concerns, your fears. Also, stepping out in nature, which is already balanced and perfect, can reset your mind and body to its original perfection. So getting back to your best self is possible by just hiking in nature. So make a pledge to yourself to go to a local trail. Use your phone only to take pictures. And really be with yourself, shadow self and all. Hear the voice in your head, negative and positive. Notice that shadow, the thoughts that are following you. And then start to change the conversation. Remember, transformation can only occur when we're aware. And awareness starts with being in the light. Remember also that when the sun is overhead, the shadow disappears. Transform your shadow into an ally, and you will love to hike alone and with others while remaining fully you. A new relationship with yourself starts with a relationship with nature. Also, future shows will be dedicated to being real, an acronym for what I've called being ready to put in the effort to absolutely love yourself.